Hello, I'm Kevin Civils, and like to share some thoughts on shot selection with you today. Uh, I think shot selection is a poorly taught concept that coaches often uh, don't do a very good job with their players. A shot selection is a key factor in offensive success. A bad shot is the same thing as a turnover. And this is the single most important concept in shot selection, I believe, that players should be taught. Uh, Shot selection is not an equal opportunity skill. Shot attempts must match shooting ability. If a player is not able to make a three-point shot, they should not attempt a three-point shot, and nor should they be allowed to get away with it during a game. Shot selection really should be geared towards success of the player, and by making the player successful, make the team more successful. Shot selection should restrict players so they have the highest possible opportunity for success. A player who's unable to make a three-point attempt but is an excellent 10 to 12 foot jump shooter should only take the 10 to 12 foot jump shot during a game. Coaches who restrict their players in this manner are going to help their players be more successful, build confidence in the player's shooting ability, and the player will be more successful, the team will be more successful. How does restricting a player's shot selection make them more successful? By limiting them to shots that they can successfully make, they will make more shot attempts and have more success. By allowing them to attempt shots that they're not capable of making, they're going to decrease the number of field goal attempts they make, thereby decreasing their success level. Restriction also benefits the team simply because the more shot attempts that a player successfully makes, the more shots, the number of poor shots will decrease. And again, a bad shot is the same thing as a turnover. Now, perhaps I should have explained this a little better at the start. When you come down and take a shot that's very poor and you miss, the other team is going to obtain possession of the ball. So in effect, you've turned the ball over. You did not have a quality scoring opportunity that converted into points. What makes a shot a bad shot? A player attempts a shot that is a low field goal percentage for that player. A rust shot attempt, poor shooting technique, not squared up, too soon or too late depending on the style of play, and the offensive possession depending on the tempo at which your team plays. Defensive pressure. Some players are unable to make a shot with any kind of defensive pressure. Some players are able to handle some amount of defensive pressure on a shot attempt, and in the case of post players, they will often have defensive pressure when they're shooting a post move in close to the goal. Time and score dictates shot selection as well. Sometimes when you're behind, a more questionable shot attempt is viable simply because you have to score in such a hurry. Other times, possession of the ball will be more valuable than points, and so any shot attempt at all is unacceptable. A really, really big factor in shot selection is the opportunity for an offensive rebound. Do you have players who are available, and are they in a reasonably good position to obtain an offensive rebound? Simply shooting a shot where there's no chance of a miss being rebounded by a teammate is, again, it's a bad shot, and it's the same thing as a turnover if you miss. And I might add, just because you made a bad shot, that doesn't make it a good shot. It's still a bad shot, even though you scored. A good shot that's missed is still a good shot, even though you didn't score. So it's one of those little nebulous concepts there, but you have to emphasize to your players, a bad shot is a bad shot, regardless of the outcome. What are some percentages that would indicate decent shot selection? Well, for high school players, you should be able to make 70% of your free throws. Now, if you miss the front end of a 1-and-1, in my book, that's the same thing as missing 2 free throws because you never got the opportunity for the second free throw attempt. Layups, 100%. Anything less than that is really unacceptable. 2-point percentage for mid-range jump shots and in should be 45%. Post shots should be 50% plus. 58, 60% is not unreasonable depending on the skill level of the post player. And for 3-point field goal percentage, 33% is the number you want to shoot for. Thought for training your point guards. Point guards should be trained not to give a player who is inclined to shoot every time they get the ball unless that player is in shooting range and there's offensive rebounding available. Don't give the gunner an attempt to make a turnover by taking a bad shot. Some ideas on teaching players shot selection and some concepts they need to be aware of. Range test your players and then tell them their shooting range is where they can hit 60% during practice or a range test minus 1 step for game conditions. Players should be taught to get ready to shoot the ball before they receive the ball. Players must be able to read the defense. Will the player have enough time to take a quality shot attempt after receiving the ball? Have great footwork. Be on balance and squared up. Can't emphasize being on balance enough. Hold a high 1-second follow through. You should have a minimum of a 45-degree arc to your shot, nothing over 60%, but 45 is the ideal. And you should cite a very specific target when aiming for your shot. The more specific the target you have, the better, and there's some disagreement. Coaches each have their idea of what players should look at. I hope you found this thought-provoking and interesting. Thank you, and be sure to check out my website. It's kcsbasketball.com. Thank you. Goodbye.